We will be getting the input from a very diverse set of speakers, not just in terms of geography and nationality, but also in terms of career. So without much ado, I would like to invite Mr. Tomas Guerrero Blanco. Tomas is a researcher at the ESADE Geo Center of Global Economy and Geopolitics, ESADE Business School in the Kingdom of Spain. And he will be talking about the latest development that's coming from Spain in terms of how they plan to participate in the emerging global halal markets. And after him, we'll be listening to Mr. James Man Woo Han. He is the Deputy Director of the Korea Agro, Fisheries and Food Trade Corporation from the Republic of Korea. And also he will be talking about what is the move from Korean government to partake into this industry. Our third speaker is Ms. Sebnem Asen Smilt. I hope I got that right. And she is the Operations Manager of Trade Flow Dubai Multi-Commodity Center of the UAE. And last, but definitely not the least, Mr. Saleh Abdullah Luta. He is the Managing Director of Al Islami Foods from the UAE. And without much ado, I would like to invite Mr. Tomas to begin his speech. Please give a round of applause to Mr. Tomas from Spain. Thank you.
Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, first of all, I would like to thank the World Islamic Economic Forum and Dubai Chamber of Commerce for organizing this conference and inviting me to participate as a speaker at this great panel. I want to say that I am truly honored and pleased to be here in Dubai to discuss and share ideas about some important issues to halal industry and the Muslim world. The world is changing so fast, and Spain, my home country, wants to be one of the main protagonists in it. And that's why we are here, with a strong and dynamic delegation of Cordoba, led by the first deputy mayor of the Cordoba City Hall, Rafael Navas, the managing director of the Halal Institute, Isabel Romero, and the managing director of the Agropolis Foundation, Antonio Fernandez. The project that I want to show you is ambitious and goes beyond our rich historical and cultural heritage, well known and recognized by the entire Muslim world. We want to set up a global halal hub in Spain around the city of Cordoba according to the model followed a few years ago by Tahash Manish. My Malaysian level is not very good. I promise you to improve my Malaysian level for the next edition in Kuala Lumpur. The idea is as follows. Spain has one of the most attractive domestic markets in Europe, with 47 million potential consumers on top of the 56 million tourists who visit this country every year. Indeed, Spain is the world's 30th largest economy in terms of GDP and 5th largest in the European Union. In addition, Spain has all the elements to confer a halal food hub around the triangle that describe the cities of Cordoba, Malaga, and Granada. We have all the elements: a dynamic agribusiness and tourism environment, high-quality products, result of our healthy Mediterranean diet, excellent infrastructure for sports and shuttle companies, 2 of 10 Europe's largest airports, 3 ports, Valencia, Algeciras, and Barcelona are among the 50 largest container ports in Europe, and the first country in Europe in number of kilometers of high-speed operation, and second in the world after China. An exceptional location for key markets in North Africa and Latin America. We are a bridge to Latam and the gateway to Africa. A reputed brand and easy for consumers to recognize. Al-Andalus, the institution in charge of awarding the halal certificates, Halal Institute in Cordoba with over 300 certificate companies and 3 cities with a strong cultural and economic relationship with the Islamic world. And the question is, why shouldn't we take advantage of all this potential? Why shouldn't we use it to create jobs, trade, and economic growth between the Spain and the Muslim world? We know each other well. Every few months, we get investment from funds and multi-country companies. Yesterday, the International Petroleum Investment Company, the Sovereign Wealth Fund of Abu Dhabi, signed a strategic agreement with Real Madrid to jointly develop the new stadium of the club. For Barcelona fans like me, it's not a good deal. On the other hand, the Spanish companies invest and develop important projects in Muslim countries. A Spanish consortium is building the Medina La Meca high-speed train, one of the most important civil constructions in the world right now. In my country, the possibilities are endless and beyond agribusiness and tourism. Halal industry valued at $2.5 trillion and forecast to reach $10 trillion in 2030 offers a university of business opportunity that go from cosmetic to textile or pharmaceutical products. I really think that a solid bet for the future of my home country economy could be reorienting a great part of our production and service means toward the halal market. Let me finish remarking the huge potential and future that Spain has to implement a global halal hub in the south of my country, and invite them to visit Cordoba and know and see the project. The next March, we will hold in Cordoba the first international halal conference under the title Halal, a Global Concept, a wide chapter. We hope to see you there. Thank you very much. Salam alaikum.
Thank you, Thomas. For our next speaker, may I invite Mr. James Man Huan to give his speech. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Amis, for your kind introduction. Thank you, distinguished panelists, and thank you, audience. When I received this grateful offer to be one of the panelists about the halal industry, I thought it will be my honor if I can provide my humble opinions and ideas about halal food for Korean market. So I had a small survey with my research team, the survey to 200 Korean adult customers. The survey was very simple, with just two simple questions. The first is, do you know about halal food? And what is your first image about halal food? Before saying the results of the survey, I just would like to say some number about Korea. Korea has population about 50 million population, and there are 35,000 Muslims. And lack of the halal food recognition. And Korea, the size of Korea food industry is about 74 billion US dollars. The size of halal food, I can find the number. It means it's too small to figure out right now. Returning to my survey, the first question, do you know about halal food? Over 60% say yes, they know. And the second question, what is your first image about halal food? Over 55% said is the religion. With these simple numbers and the two answers I said, I can say Korea is non-Muslim market in business. Nothing special until now. But with the second answers to my second question, what is your first image about halal food? About 20% of response said halal food is healthy food. In Korea, healthy food means safe food. So that's what I like to say today. The one way the halal food have to make their marketing in Korea. And the last and the next point is the certificate. When I have a deep conversation with my research team, we can conclude the reason Korean customers think halal food as safe and healthy food is the halal certificate. So I cordially call for the Islamic business community to have the certification policy right now continually have the open window for overseas countries. If even Korean small companies can use the certificate, they can use it with their product package with proud, and then consequently the customers see the certificate often and they can use even from another country product with confidence. The last point is some obstacle for the certificate. Even in Korea, there's some entrepreneur try to get and apply for the halal certificate, such as MUI in Indonesia and the Jakar in Malaysia. But there is some fact that make them some confusing. It is so little bit complicated and difficult to apply. So if the Islamic community can make more integrate, transparent, and if possible, simple guidance and standard, it will make more mutual effective way to develop for the halal food into the Korea, even I think Japan and China as well. Thank you for your attention. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. James Manwuhan. And now I would like to invite Ms. Satnam of Trade Flow Dubai Commodities Center to give her speech. Thank you.
Hi. As James mentioned, the production and distribution of food has become international. There are many emerging issues that were not known at the early time of Muslim scholars. Today, ingredients and packaging are global and sourced in different locations. So producers, suppliers, retailers even the Islamic financiers should understand halal processing, halal storage, international laws, Islamic acceptance constraints to produce halal products. As the NCC, we have done our contribution by launching our trade flow platform, Murabaha module, and halal inspection and rating program. The NCC has an electronic registry for commodity ownership, the trade flow platform, which is the only central registry for commodities in the UAE. This platform allows Islamic financial products like Murabaha to use real and Sharia-compliant commodities in their interbank, corporate, or retail lending. Dubai has been announced as futures capital of the global Islamic economy. Not only Murabaha, but we also have halal inspection and rating program on the trade flow platform. This program was advised to be launched by our Sharia consultant, Daraz Sharia, who has also given fatwa to our Murabaha module, while developing our Murabaha module. Our halal inspection and rating program represents an additional value to Islamic finance products. Islamic financiers are now confident that clear and rigorous Sharia compliance standards are being applied to the facilities that store the goods being traded during asset-backed Islamic finance transactions. Absence of halal standards lead to extra costs for retests, obstacle to trade, time lost to market, confusion among customers, confusion on product development, confusion on Islamic financiers to invest, hard to understand and compare competing products, fierce competition on many certifying institutions, difference on standards, confusion on halal audits, abuse of halal logo, unfortunately, supply chains are always broken, artificial shortage of raw material, and finally, loss of revenue for all involved parties. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Satnam. And now I would like to invite Saleh Abdullah Luta, Managing Director of Al Islamic Foods, to give his speech.
Thank you very much. Just to save the time, if I can do it while I'm sitting.
Sure.
Because I know that we have lunch after this session, so I'll try my best to make it short and simple. First of all, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, everybody.
Alaikum salam.
One question I would ask myself and ask everybody here in the audience, aren't we complicated the halal process? And when I always think about halal food and halal or Islam overall, it should be much simpler than what we are doing right now. We've been having so many meetings talking about the standards and making to create a uniform standards for all Muslim consumers worldwide. But if you see the complication we're going through, we need to audit the products, we need to audit the packaging, we need to audit the production line, we need to audit the ingredients. So many audits we're going through. Wouldn't this complicate the food we're eating? And I think in the halal food should be similar than this, if we talk about the halal food. Because at the end of the day, this will associate with cost. And this cost, in the end of the day, it will pass to the consumer. And imagine that we know that most of the Muslims consumer, their purchase power is much lower than the normal consumer. If we talk about countries like Pakistan, Bangladesh, these are all Muslims consumer. If we start adding all these audits for their food, guess what? They wouldn't be eating halal food. Talk about the small and medium companies. If you start asking them to take all these audits to give them the certificate of halal, they would be closing down. They will not be able to compete with big companies who have bigger budget to be able to sustain their business. My simple understanding of this relates going back to the taqwa. There is a relationship between taqwa and fatwa. Whenever our taqwa is high, which is fear of Allah, the fatwa will come low. But if our taqwa is low, then we will be having so many muftis, so many fatwas, so many certification bodies. And this is what's happening, I think, right now. We are having so much discussion in terms of auditing and certifying and making a certification. I go back to the same things which I believe in. We leave it to the consumer. I think if we give the right information for the consumer, he himself will be able to judge. Would he be able to eat this food, or he doesn't want to eat this food? Because our taqwa varies from each individual of us. The way I grow up, the way you grow up, the way they grow up in Korea, the way they grow up in Malaysia differ from countries to countries with different madhab, different level of taqwa. So we cannot make a one uniform standard for everybody to adopt. This is one thing. The other things which I go back to, I think most of the companies who provide a halal service or halal food, we keep talking about the halal process. And we tend to forget our core business. When I talk about, if we are in the banking, we stop talking about innovation, we stop talking about the experience our consumer goes through, we stop talking about really raising the bar of the services which we are providing. And guess what? We just keep talking about, Wallah, I am halal. Okay, even what? The new generation need a total different product quality, product presentation. Their demand is continuously increasing. So we have to make sure that we focus in our core. I'm not saying that we forget the halal. I'm not saying that, wallah, we eat whatever. I'm saying no. We make sure that we do the standard which we believe is the right for our consumer, but we focus in our core business. Food business, banking, insurance, we need to focus in the consumer experience he go through whenever he eat our product or consume our services. After he try our services, does he pray for us or pray against us? This is what we have to ask ourselves. Really, what the consumer experience he goes through. Because most of our discussion, I was sitting with one of my friends the other day, and he's talking, Salih, okay, what is it now? We've already now, most of the people understand halal. What would be the next? I believe the next is what experience do we leave in the consumer mind after he eat my products or buy my services or try my product. This is what we have to really focus if we want to help the halal business or Islam overall. We really need to look into what are we adding to the consumer after he try my product. Does he pray for me or pray against me? This is in simple.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sami. So basically we've had 4 views and 4 developments coming from each of you, and I think based on our subject matter today, where we are supposed to be discussing about how are we going to be ensuring integrity, and I think this is a question that has been asked even 10 years ago when even I first started. Oh, by the way, I'm sorry, I was asked by the organizer to introduce myself. I forgot to do that. My name is Jumatun Azmi. I'm the founder and managing director of Kasedia out of Malaysia. And I also founded the World Halal Forum in 2006. So, and this is the kind of questions that we asked 10 years ago, starting in Malaysia. And we still don't have anything out there yet that can give an assurance on a global scale. And to me, I think it's a vision. We are not there yet. But I think the key thing right now, the consumers generally are quite confused because still there are many halal marks from mosques, from nationals, from different organizations. At the last count, there was depending on who's doing the survey, between 500 to 3,000 certification bodies in the world. And I think for the Muslim world, and for the non-Muslim world, they are relying on the Muslims to unite and get together and to tell them what is the way forward for halal, because this is an industry that we are the consumers. And I think I will start my question with Mr. Saleh. What do you think? You mentioned that it's up to the consumers to decide. how they feel about a product. But the problem is the consumers will not know, because there's so many halal marks around the world, they will not know which one is better. Are you saying that it should remain nationalistic or even private-owned mark? Or what do you think is the solution to have some form of integrity and assurance for the Muslim consumer who might not know about halal certification from different countries when they travel, for example?
Okay, when it comes for the halal, I think we have to give the right information to the consumer. What I'm talking about is the consumer right, being informative and transparent with our consumer. I wouldn't be worrying about the certification body as much I would be worried about the process. This certificate being given to these companies. I'll give you an example. As we know, most of the doubt, most of the questions which we always relate to about slaughter, if we talk about the meat, is it hand slaughter? Is it mechanical slaughter? Is it machine? Is it electricity? Is it gas? Whatever the process you as a company or as an individual believe in, make sure, or whatever standard you come, make sure that we ask the companies to place it in their packaging. They have to tell the consumer how their product being produced. I think this is the minimum right consumer has to have. Either we do it today, or in the future, 2 years, 10 years from now. I am full confident with the consumer right, they will force us to put this information for them. Because the new generation, they are demanding. They raise the bar. It's not like before. Well, I give you a certificate and you accept it. No. He would ask you, who have given you this certificate? How it is being produced? Can I have full trust on these people? I don't want to talk about the people. I want to talk about just the way, the method this product being produced. Because there is a saying by Sayyidina Ali, البر ما اطمأنت له قلبك والإثم ما حاك في نفسك وكرهت أن يطلع عليه الناس. So what I mean, that the right things which you would say it openly and you will feel proud people seeing you doing it. And the wrong thing is the thing which you do it privately and you don't want people to see you while you're doing it. I'm asking companies for the halal. Okay, if you are stunning the animal with an electricity shot, would you have the courage to put this in your packaging? If you are slaughtering it with gas, would you be having the gut to put it in your packaging? This is what I'm asking for. Not me. I'm talking about the new generation. They would demand this information to be in their products for them to make the right choice. Because as I said, consumer is the king. If consumer wants things, he will make sure that he's getting what he wants. And the way I see consumer evolving about the information he wants, about the extra details he go to with the social media, with the Facebook, with the Twitter, I'm telling you, we're coming through a big revolution within the consumer themselves. And this is, I think, it's for the best for everybody.
Yeah. Okay, so I agree with that actually. In one sense, yes, we have relied on Islamic bodies to ensure halal integrity, but then again, consumers are also asking, what does this halal mark mean? So moving forward, it's about consumer rights, and now in the age of information, it's up to consumers to decide whether they're okay with meat that is stunned or with thoracic sticking. And I think it's the part for platform providers and also media platforms to actually provide a more systematic kind of information so that the consumers can actually exercise their rights once they know what's happening within the industry. And on this note, I would like to also ask Ms. Satnam about your views on, with all these fragmented halal sectors that's happening at the moment, what is the way forward in terms of ensuring some form of integrity within the halal industry?
I respect and understand Saleh's frustration on so many requirements and certifications and inspection, etc. But I'm kind of an inspection and robust certifying believer person. As such, as you said, there's certification agencies between 500 to 3,000 all around the world. 80% of them in non-Muslim countries. So I would like to talk about what Organization for Islamic Cooperation is doing. As we all know, in 2010, they have given the mandate to bring the certification to a single platform by constructing the Standards and Metrology Institute of Islamic Countries. Since 2010, there has been lots of development. They have set OIC, SMIIC standards, not only for certification, not only for manufacturing, but also for certifying the halal accreditation agencies. The 29 members of 57 countries of OIC are talking the same language now. They are on the same ground. And recently I had a chat with their Istanbul office, and I found out that they're up to a level where they will be constructing over the countries accreditation council. They will be having their 6th accreditation council meeting in Dubai by Dubai Accreditation Council's host on the 12th and 13th of November. Going forward in 6 months, they are hoping to construct the International Accreditation Council, recognized by all of the member countries, and another 6 months following to that, they are hoping to construct the OIC, SMIIC Halal logo, but this won't be a unique logo because when it will be used along with the accreditation agency that is being given to. So I'm very hopeful that certification and accreditation can be brought on the same ground, and I'm expecting, inshallah, in 1 year, all of the Muslim countries will be speaking of the same halal logo and same halal standards.
Okay, thank you for your input on that. And it seems that that is a different vision of how this industry will develop, because it is developing as we speak. There's not much global infrastructure readily available. And there is an initiative by the OIC through SMIC from Turkey, which plans to actually have some kind of scheme for global global members through the OIC countries and having some kind of global standards. And before we move on to what's happening in Korea and Spain, I would like to go back to Mr. Saleh to find out your views about that. Will that work, you think, in terms of an OIC regulated global standard that will be implemented by national bodies? As a company that, you know, you have a company that does food, what are your thoughts on that?
You want to put me in this position? But it wouldn't be easy. I have to be very frank. I mean, we've been in the halal food for more than 30 years. Right now, I've been across so many certificates, which comes from different angles. We would love to see a one standard which all of us agree on. Mm-hmm. But I've sat with different bodies, different countries. Everybody comes and say, no, my certification is better than your certification. Mm-hmm. No, I have better muftis than the mufti you have. And guess this is going in all the Muslim countries and non-Muslim countries. So the difference between the certifications, I think we should simplify it. It is the process. It is not the body who certify. It is what kind of a process do they certify? Is it the stunning? Is it the killing? Is it the gas? Mention this to the consumer. I think this is the minimum right he has to have. Even if we give him a logo of halal, this doesn't mean things. I've been seeing more than hundreds logos of halal in every product. You go into different countries, red, black, white, green, all colors of halal seal. But they don't mention the process. I think we should go a little bit higher now where we go, because we have a smart consumer now. We don't have the normal, simple consumer who we used to have 20, 30 years. This is why we are in Dubai now, want to become a smart city, because we have smarter. consumer, and this is what I believe in, we have to go to the next level. Let us go to the next step, and we leave it to the consumer. Let him make the judge.
Yeah.
He has all the rights, especially with the revolutions of information now, with the social medias, internet, and.
Yes.
Let him make the judgment himself, based on the taqwa he has.
Okay, thank you. We actually have run out of time because we started late. If Mr. Thomas and Mr. James can give your input, because both Spain and Korea is a non-Muslim country, and you have ambition to participate in the global industry, and you understand that we have challenges in terms of halal certification. What is your aspiration, and what do you hope to actually do, and what are your thoughts about this?
This is a very important issue because the challenge of halal certification goes hand in hand with the consumer confidence, and I think that we need to go deeper in two ways. No, we need a global halal authority leadership to establish a halal regulatory framework, and I think that we need to support the International Halal Integrity Alliance, no, because we need to improve our standards, and need to try to get to the consumer the confidence that they need.
Yes, thank you. Mr. James?
Well, I can say my experience in Korea. Some small entrepreneur, food entrepreneur, want to apply for Malaysia halal certificate. So the government and my company support them with the finance and consulting like that. But we do research and some information for that, and we gave that for Malaysia certificate is Jakim. So it's not a big problem, and there is the agency for the certificate. But the problem is the next step. The company wants to export to Indonesia. So we arranged the same agency. But they say they can't handle it because it's different standard and guidance. So we have to search for another agency for the certificate. My point is that something like that happen more and more if the Korean corporation or any entrepreneur want to export their product to Islamic community. They have to search their one agency for the certificate, something like that. I don't mean just to simple or any the low-level certificate, but if the Islamic business community have some common standard or common guidance, if they can, it will be very helpful to approach from another country like Korea or Japan from China. So that's what I like to say.
Okay, so I think it's from your perspective, Thomas, you're saying the importance of the International Halal Integrity Alliance, which is IHI Alliance is a non-governmental and a private initiative that actually groups together members of the industry to arrive at some kind of consensus. And then, Mr. Thomas, right now, I guess the Korean sorry, Ms. James, the Korean companies are just looking at what's the authorities doing from importing countries and just go for that. And basically you're hoping for a more integrated kind of consensus that applies to more countries than just one singular countries. So, so that's the key things right now at the state of the industry that we're in, and the different approach on how we should be looking at the area and how it should be developed. I would like to open questions to the floor. If there's any questions from the floor, there's one gentleman here and the second one here. Can we have the mic, please? Can you please state your name and where you're from?
Certainly. I'm Alberto, managing partner of Asai from Milan. Assalamu alaikum, Saleh. Thank you so much for a thought-provoking presentation. Skyrocketing demand in Western countries is for biological food, and which pretty much fits well with the Tayyib definition of Quranic Tayyib definitions. So it seems to me that the next movement on the halal industry should be to focus to move from halal to Tayyib. And this will certainly conquer a large swath market in Western countries, both Muslim and not Muslim. Thank you.
That's a comment, I think. Okay, thank you for your comment. There's a gentleman over here who needed a mic. Yes, Mr. Nadim Kaya.
Assalamu alaikum. Actually, I liked the approach of Mr. Saleh Abdullah about many issues. It seems he is coming from practical life, except one thing. I am not next generation, but still I demand this information in these products.
So you're ahead of your time, see?
The thing is that, unfortunately, the gift we give to the world, our kitchen, our products are mostly halal, but it doesn't mean always they are healthy. So I would ask if there is an intention to put not only halal information, but also nutrition information about the fiber, carbohydrate, fat, and sugar, the other facts about the product, so that the next generation will demand this also. I think we should have 2H, halal and healthy, on each product. So I would ask if there is some consciousness about this issue. Thank you.
See, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, كنتم خير أمة أخرجت للناس. You were the best nation to come for the humanity. This doesn't mean only in worshipping. It means also in practicing whatever we do. You're talking about perfection here. You're talking to make sure that whatever we give to the consumer has to be having the right health component, having the right, the perfect product for the consumer. And this is what the global companies are doing. This is where I say that most of the halal companies having two places which they have to focus on, but they are focusing mainly in halal. No, you have your own core business. You're talking about the core business. How to make sure that the products you're giving to your consumer have the best ingredients, have the best nutrition, and all this information has to be in the label. We are backward. Why? Because we're talking only about halal, and we're forgetting the core business we are in. We debate halal, your halal is right, my halal is right, and we forget the core business, which the multinational companies don't forget. They keep focusing on what the consumer wants and make sure that they give him even more than what he's looking for. The problem with most of the halal companies, I think, and I'm not talking only about food, I'm talking also about banking, insurance, all this. We're still talking about the basic, which the consumer has to have for you to stay in the marketplace. This is where I say we have to go to the next level. What experience does we give to the consumer whenever we are providing him the service or selling him our product? Does he pray for us or pray against us? I think with me, with my networking, most of the halal company I see them backward. They're not really coming up front and exceeding even the consumer expectation. And this is what we have to do as halal companies in whatever service we are in.
Yes. Okay, thank you for that. Yes, there's the one gentleman over there with a question.
Thank you. I'm Mamundur Rahman, CEO Expo Pro from Bangladesh delegation. I have one question to the distinguished panelists that, yes, we appreciate the single global standard and or logo for being certified as a halal product. But, you know, when we are thinking about this sort of certificate, we must think about the cost of having this certificate because it will obviously difficult for small-scale producer or manufacturer to afford this in a global competitive situation. So only the big players can be afford when you are also having a lot of other challenges of doing marketing. So how we can facilitate this for SMEs when they want to be competitive in a global situation by having those standards. Thank you.
I think this is one of the topics that you talked about, Salih, about what will happen when there's so many costs involved in terms of auditing, and he basically asking the same thing.
Muslim consumer will starve to death. You're absolutely right. This is a problem which we are facing. We are increasing the demand for halal. People won't be eating halal. I'm talking about the normal countries which doesn't have the purchase power which, let's say, the Gulf countries has. And this is the obvious. Most of the Muslim countries come under the line in terms of their purchase power. So this is where I say we need to simplify the halal food. We simplify the Islam we're talking about. We don't want to complicate it. It should be simple enough for a consumer in his own, with basic information, to make the judge what food he has to eat or what food he shouldn't eat. Because I agree with him fully. It is coming. It's not only affecting the small and medium companies, it's affecting the consumer himself.
Yes.
Imagine if we put all this cost for your product to be certified halal. What will this cost be? And who will be paying all this cost? In the end of the day, it will be passed to the consumer.
Okay, any more questions? There's one over there, and there's one gentleman over there. Maybe we can we have some mic, please? Okay, maybe one last question? Okay, I was told that we run out of time. We can have one last question, but the speakers will be here for individual questions after this. Yeah, behind you.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Abdul Rahman. I'm from Malaysia, Agency and the Malaysian Technology Development Corporation. My question is, what that we have a standard for the controlling on the SAMA standard and policy, because we are talking about the halal from the farm to table. We are ensuring that all the process is all meeting the standard. But what is the standard or policy that the world is concerned about ensuring the logistic and the transportation for the food going to the consumer is within this halal standard? Thank you.
You're referring the question to which speaker?
I think just go to the panel. Anyone can help to answer.
I can respond to that.
Okay.
SMIIC is also third-party logistics providers are very important in halal certification and halal logo, I would say, because it's not actually halal certifying is not that sophisticated as it looks, because it's all about, if we talk about the logistics part of it, it's all about physical and virtual segregation. So still, SMIIC is working on that one also. Currently, because of the emerging requirement, they have come up with the standards for food, and ESMA is recognized and chairing the technical team, technical halal food of SMIIC. But next one in the line is the cosmetics, and they're also working on third-party logistics providers standards too. Yeah, you're right. I mean, the supply chain should not be broken to call any commodity halal.
Okay, on that note, I'm afraid we're going to have to end our session. Please help me give a round of applause to our distinguished speakers. And with that, I would like to conclude the session. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.